Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald, Jamie Pluff, Greg Demontier, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Good morning.
Martin Charlo, Len Tootie.
Ben, will you give us a prayer this morning? Please. Thank you, Len. We have minutes from March 19th. If we could look at those, please.
Motion to approve with correction.
Motion by Len to approve the March 19th minutes with corrections. Second by Greg. Any other corrections? All in favor? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, and Jamie abstains. We have an agenda for today. Anything to add to the agenda, anybody? Len? I think legal has a short report about the meeting yesterday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So I think that we'll wait for legal for that. Anything else to add to the agenda?
And but
Mike?
we're just waiting on her.
Okay,
And I asked Michelle to come down.
okay. I would welcome a motion to accept the agenda. Motion by Jamie to accept today's agenda with additions, second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous. So we don't have that. We'll go. Is Michelle coming right down? We will go out of regular into executive. Sorry, Kathy. And Tabitha back in. You didn't get to walk in yet. Okay. Good morning, Tabitha. You're up.
Good morning.
We'll do Tabitha, then we'll do the walk-in.
Okay. Okay, so I'm on page 2 of the packet. If you want me to share that, I can. Let's see. Do you see my screen?
We do now.
Okay. So right off the bat, there's a typo on my council agenda request form. It says I'm requesting pursing of non-competitive negotiations, which is kind of funny. It's supposed to say pursuing, but obviously, hopefully, you'll also be pursing the contract. So the request I have is about the Bison Range Reach Restoration Project. The channel in its current alignment has a private irrigation pumping facility that services Doug King up on the bench. And so when we move the river, that would make his infrastructure obsolete, and he would not be able to get water from the river the way he does now, and he has a water right to that water. So when we move the channel, we'll have to move the pumping facility to the new location. And if you guys want to see the maps, I can show that too. But we have that project out as a separate bid package from the main project, just have more opportunities for people to access that work. So it's kind of a separate project, but it's really intimately linked with the main river project. When we released that bid a couple weeks ago, about a month ago actually, we started getting questions from the contractors related to procurement of all the supplies necessary. And one of them is the screens that'll sit on the riverbed to prevent any fish from going into the pumping facility. And we realized after we released the bids that there's going to be a long lead time for the screens. And the ideal timing for construction, according to the way we laid out the contract, is to complete all the work by the end of summer, right before the new channel gets moved over into the new alignment. So that's the shortest amount of time that the King diversion is shut down. So that's kind of our ideal timeline. And based on those long lead times, the contractor may not be able to meet that deadline. So instead of putting all the procurement into the contractor's responsibility, if we can procure the screens, CSKT can procure the screens now, we can get about 8 weeks ahead of when the contractor would be able to. So that's what I'm asking you guys now, is whether or not we can pursue procuring the screens directly from the supplier. And the mechanism to do that would be, we have a procurement contract that other folks have used on other similar project. So we would just have a direct contract with the supplier. We would buy that, and then we would take that out of bid package for the King Pump RFP. So yeah, the specific question is whether or not we can pursue non-competitive negotiations with the company Johnson Screens, and then we could work with them and get finalize their price and all that, and work through the contract with them. So I don't know if there's any questions. That was a bit of a big picture overview. If you guys want more detail, I can give any detail that you want.
Go ahead, Carol.
I was just curious if you have a map, Tabitha. To me, I can see this in a couple of different locations.
Sure.
On the Jocko?
It's on the Jocko. So this is directly from the bid package. I'm going to scroll here for a second, so just bear with me. So this is Highway 93, Highway 200, and Highway 212. So this end is Ravalli and Schleep on this end. The project is roughly halfway between the two on the Jocko River. So you can kind of see it from Highway 200 when you're driving. And then I'll show you real quick at the project, just the details of it. So this is the current river alignment, and this is where the pumping facility is now. The new river channel is going to come out in a big bend right through here. And so the new pump will be right here. And I'll just scroll. What's up?
Did you need a bigger hand?
Oh, you can't see it. I don't know how to change it. I'm not that good on
I get
Zoom.
it. I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
Tabitha, I realize that you want to enter into negotiations, but I'm just curious as to what you would ballpark the price. I mean, are we talking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? Could you ballpark that?
Yep. They gave us a preliminary estimate before we started bidding, and it's roughly $27,000 for the screens. So obviously we'd hone in on that as we start conversations with them in earnest.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Motion by Greg to approve the non-competitive pursuit of a contract for these screens. Second by Danielle. All in favor? We're unanimous.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, Tabitha. We have the walk-in ready.
Courtney Kutcher.
Morning, Courtney. Come on up. We will go out of regular into executive. And 2-minute break. We got a 2-minute break. Good morning, Whisper.
Thank you. I will get going since I probably am going to inspire some discussion and so that we can go on with the topic. Today, I'm here to present the Bison Range Master Plan and alternatives analysis for 3 separate locations for the development and build out of a visitor center that would be new to accommodate visitorship, raise funds for the Bison Range. So I have attached the Bison Range Master Plan. That's the document that accompanies this. So hopefully you've had a chance to see that. And I will switch over to a PowerPoint presentation. We're working with our contractors. As you know, we hired some folks to come in and help do this master planning. Step 1 was to determine a location. And then this next step will be for them to build out the plan based on what you choose as a location for the new visitor center, hopefully after today. Do you have anything you want to add to preface? Okay.
Here, just.
Okay. So here's, let me just move this if I can. A picture sort of our background of the whole area. This is the Bison Range depicted on the screen, and the main roadways that are associated with that, and that can be a the access to the range. As I have been in my position as division manager and overseer of Bison Range operations, one of the things that we've been tasked with is to generate revenue from visitorship so that we can manage this place and bring money to the tribes for in turn operations of the bison range. We have visitor services, we've got the wildlife biology aspect, and then we have maintenance. So there's kind of three separate things that we're funding and doing for operations out there. We have a bit of a shortfall in our revenue to be cleaning up weeds, to be taking care of bison, especially now that we have a new wildlife disease on site. Taking care of people when they're on site, we need them there so we can generate some revenue from them, but we also have to make sure that they're safe. So we're not dealing with wrecked cars, injured people, hurt bison. Visitor services, bathrooms, of course. Visitor services is a big responsibility that we have to take on, and we're doing a good job with that. We also do a lot of outreach and education with adults, professional groups. We get quite a lot of tours of professionals coming through the bison range, as well as Stephanie and Emily doing youth activities with kids. Those were things that were included in the CFR when it came through, that we would provide educational opportunities, and we do a really good job at that. I think Stephanie would love to do more. To hold her back sometimes. We're trying to deal with the revenue. We need to plan to expand the cultural education and storytelling of the site. We want to improve the visitor access and experience, as well as access for our staff. So the building that is currently there at the visitor center is old, undersized, and the Fish and Wildlife Service was planning to demolish that and build a new building before the tribes took over. So they left their problem with us to deal with. And there's infrastructure issues that have to do with water and electrical and those things too, that we're constantly trying to navigate, that we can't fix in that building. Additionally, ADA accessibility. We've improved the ramp. We spent money on that, but getting into bathrooms inside the building is not very, it's not appropriate for ADA accessibility, and moving around the museum is a challenge as well. And we want to support our tribal economic development and jobs. We have a lot of people working out there, and we think it's an appropriate number to provide the services that we do, and we could maybe use a couple more, but budget constraints are restricting us from doing that. So there are 3 sites that were evaluated. This is just kind of talking about the plan. We've done the initial steps. We're to the conceptual plan development, and they'll do the master plan after we pick a location. And we looked at evaluation criteria, and we looked at economic development and growth, environmental and cultural impacts, meaning impacts to those 2 topics, safety. You've probably heard me talk before about having one entrance and exit. It causes stress because of the potential for emergency response or evacuation should be needed. Access and accessibility, that relies to people being able to drive there safely as well as utilize the facilities. Cultural education awareness, infrastructure and development, capital cost, and viewshed. So these were what we got together as a group and said, this is what we need to evaluate 3 sites on. The 3 sites are the existing visitor center, which will be referenced as Site A. Site B is Red Sleep. So that is in the middle of the area, sort of right over here. We'll show you more maps as we go. And then a new site on Ravalli Hill, which would be where the scenic turnout is. We're really trying to reflect our tribal priorities of cultural preservation, economic opportunity, safety, and long-term sustainability. Site A being the current visitor center. The benefits of choosing this location would be that it has existing infrastructure, even though there's some needs there. It would have a lower upfront capital cost because the site is already disturbed and set up for building, and it is located outside of bison habitat. There would be minimal wildlife impact other than that badger that's been digging that little hole outside our office window for the last few years, if we were to develop the current site. Some of the drawbacks or limitations is it has poor visibility and limited ability to attract new visitors just off the highway. You have to know where you're going and look for the site if you are trying to visit the CSKT Bison Range. It's got significant water quality and infrastructure issues. We fail our water tests oftenish. Housing, we pay them to do our clean drinking water testing, and they will come adjust the machine if we need them to, but when the line breaks under the ground and we've had to dig it up a couple of times, there's some different pipes down there that are pieced together over time, so that the reason why the bacteria gets in is because some of that has been tinkered with and needs improvement. I've looked for grants. That's millions of dollars to improve that water system back to where it should be. There's inadequate space for cultural exhibits, educational program for expanding our gift shop. There's ADA deficiencies, and of course, the single access point at the current entrance for emergency response. Overall, this one is the lowest cost, but constrained and unlikely to meet maybe our long-term goals.
Whisper,
Yes.
don't we have to have a second entrance for safety anyway? Shouldn't we be looking at this just always thinking that second entrance is going to be there?
It does in my mind. I'm always concerned about that.
Yeah, and that was part of our discussion, our final evaluation is evaluating the visitor center site for the visitor center only, not evaluating site B or Valley sites as the only other avenue for an additional entrance. We've evaluated that there needs to be an additional entrance no matter what for safety reasons and potential economic revenue. But that doesn't dictate that there needs to be a visitor center site there also to coincide with it. So we wanted to evaluate the visitor center sites based on just the visitor center standard. Yeah.
Which is the red sleep option. So staff talked about it and we thought about, is there an alternative inside the range where maybe we could build a visitor center that would be a nice flat area, maybe in between, so that we could build something brand new. So that is this location. It is at the bottom of Red Sleep Drive as you're coming out. It's also a current turnaround spot for Buffalo Prairie, which is open year round, where Red Sleep closes between October 31st and May 8th. Some of the strengths of this is that there's the ability to build a fully modern, purpose-driven facility. It's a blank slate. We can build whatever we like. It's got strong potential for immersive cultural and educational programming. It's protected from the wind and offers scenic views of the range as well as the missions. Some of the limitations being that it is pretty remote. It's 8 miles inside the range. No visibility from the public if you're driving by on the highway.
We have a question. Whisper.
Yep.
It's kind of going to what you're talking about now. Is there, could there be built any access from Highway 93 to there?
Yes, there could be access built from Highway 93 to this site. When we went out there and stared at it, it's a pretty steep hill. And it's more than I realized when we were conceptually thinking about standing at the Ravalli Hill site and looking onto the range. It's quite a ways out. It's kind of a little dip and then there's a hill and then, you know, the road's right on the other side. But when we went to the backside and looked at it, it's pretty steep. So our engineers have been looking at, because they know that we're talking for sure about trying to get a road in there for safety no matter what. They've been working on conceptually designing a road from the scenic turnout on Ravalli Hill into the site. So they are looking at how do we best go up that steep hill and come down so that it's still usable year round. That's some of our issues with Red Sleep being open, is that those switchbacks coming down on that backside, there's no guardrails. If it's icy or slick, you're gonna go off the road. So we don't want that to be the issue for a new entrance. This one isn't great. It's emergency access, longer response. Nobody's really in love with this site. I think there's some benefits, but maybe not as much as if we utilize the other areas. Sorry, I should switch to the words in between, but it's nicer to look at a picture. Lastly is Site C, which is River Valley Hill, located on Highway 35, which has an average of 7,800 vehicles per day versus Highway 212, which has around 900 vehicles driving by per day. High visibility, of course, of people driving by on Highway 93 as they're traveling through the reservation. They would see potentially a visitor center, though when we're talking about this feasibility study, we're just selecting a site. No building has been designed yet. And no matter where we are, the next step of this is to design something that is appropriate for the landscape and not a big eyesore. There is existing infrastructure. There's water, wastewater, power, and cable along the highway system. It has the best access for visitors, emergency response, staff operations, and a strong opportunity for telling our story and educating the public, as well as potential economic development. Some of the limitations are that there's a higher upfront capital cost, potential cultural sensitivity issues, which I'm sure you've all heard and was part of the packet. The last pages were some comments from the Salish Bay Culture Committee, and that they do not prefer the River Valley Hill site due to those issues and topics that were listed. And there's increased exposure to after hours activity. I mean, there are people that stop there all hours of the day for whatever reason. I think that if we had a visitor center, we could control some of the nefarious things that might be occurring there. It has the best balance of access, revenue potential, and long-term value. So I'm going to show you two different alternative analysis tables. And the first one I'm showing you is based on all the criteria that we discussed previously. We went through as a CSKT group. Morrison Merrily did the first stab at it. We went to the culture committees and listened to things that were being said, and our admin group went through and reevaluated this so that it looks as it does today. And if you take into consideration the economic and development and growth, thinking about environmental and cultural impacts, being that a ranking of 1 is bad and a 3 is good, right? 1 is not great and 3 is good. Sorry, I don't have the other one up. Yep. Right, and it's the multiplier. So the criteria weight, they are 8 is saying that we care the most about the economic draw of this facility to generate revenue for the operations of the Bison Range.
Yeah.
That's where we're challenged right now. Where View Shed, which was considered something that was important, is the lowest one on this list. Ranking wise, 1 is not good, 3 is good. So when we look at economic development and growth, environmental and cultural impacts, safety, access and accessibility, cultural education, infrastructure, capital, and view shed, River Valley Hill site still comes out ranking the highest of the 3 sites, with the current facility only slightly below. If we take safety out, so were you to approve the building of a new road from River Valley Hill and a pay kiosk potentially there so that we could generate revenue there without building a new visitor center at that site, then a different ranking comes up. And that is that the existing site ranks higher than River Valley Hill if we don't consider safety as one of our issues. That's all I'm thinking about that. Let me see what else I have on here. Oh, one of the things that I don't have like all the science or economics behind this, but we've spoken loosely about it. And that is, yes, we're trying to generate revenue. And when we conceptualize it, when people are driving by on the highway, if they see a site, a sign and a pull off to get into Ravalli Hills, say, people could stop. They could come into the building. They could buy something from the gift shop or whatever refreshments we have. They may or may not pay the $20 to drive in, or they may drive up the road. Those are opportunistic economic grabs. Those people, it might increase our revenue, or they may just kind of be looky-loos. They may just walk through and not buy, use the restroom and not buy anything and head on up to Glacier. If the current site requires visitors to make a conscious choice to go there, people that make a conscious choice to visit a recreational facility may spend more time and more money. So the economic trade-off is not totally fully vetted by the consultants yet, because that's phase 2, but that is a consideration. And I don't think that we would put the game wardens in the new building. That's been discussion of putting them in the Valley Hill site so that they can more quickly respond to situations versus where they currently are. If we were to expand the existing visitor center, we probably wouldn't build a game warden office. I'm not for sure, because that would create a lot more congestion with the people that are there. So we're hoping, go ahead.
One little add-on to that. Sorry, is kind of the discussion of if we build, to expand on Whisper's thought there, if we build this visitor center at the Ravalli sites and have outside amenities and viewing sites and viewing corridors or whatnot, or even a park setting for people to stop and enjoy the area, that doesn't capture them visiting inside the park. If we build at the current facility, and they want to utilize, there's already large day use infrastructure installed there inside the park where they have to pay a fee to utilize. And so the idea of what Whisper's kind of saying is the Ravalli site does look like optically it could bring in more revenue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that revenue may be for sales of visitor center type stuff, not necessarily entrance fees, because people could stop and then continue on with their trip. If we build on the current sites, it could get people to increase some revenue out of the visitor center for those sales, but also utilize the existing day use park and shorter drive feature that's already installed. And so that looking at economic development and opportunity, we have, like Whisper said, we've looked at it optically, but we haven't done, we know the numbers on 93 is much higher than the numbers on and through Dixon. But that we don't know if that means we're going to capture more people in the park or if we're just capturing people stopping at the visitor center. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. So we'll totally take questions and discussion, but it would be great if we could leave here today with a site selected so that our consultants could build out the rest of the master plan. We are already a little bit behind on our schedule, and they're confident they can still get this done for us by September 30th. That's kind of where our finances run out for paying for this.
Any questions? Thoughts, Carol?
I thought I heard clearly from one individual at the culture committee that they did not want to put it at the Ravalli site.
I think I can show that here, right?
Yeah,
It's attached.
and that's, so when we first presented the evaluation criteria to both culture committees and to different departments, we utilize the consultant's ranking and evaluation tool. What we presented today is after those discussions.
Okay.
And so we probably could have showed what the ranking were prior to our discussions and consultation efforts and what they are now. And so as you see, the existing site ranks a lot higher than it did previously with the consultant's evaluation tool.
There.
Yeah, and that's because we've took the input of our consultation and communication efforts with our elders and reevaluated and prioritized some things on the evaluation tool. And so we heard them loud and clear that they don't want to see a large facility on Ravalli Hill for multiple reasons. And so that's been inputted for sure.
And we do or did have Sadie in the room if she, no, yep, she's still there if she wants to make any additional comments. I did include the SQCC comments in the agenda packet.
Other questions?
I have a comment if I may.
Go ahead, Sadie.
Squext, everybody. I hope you're doing well. As Whisper and Tony mentioned, there was consultation between the Elders Advisory Council and the staff. Those of you that were at the elders meeting, we did come to a consensus that day that the elders in the meeting that day did not prefer the top of the hill as the site for the new building for the Bison Range Visitor Center. However, you'll see in the letter that we provided, they were in support of emergency entrance or exit. Maybe that consists of a kiosk, whatever it needs to be, but they were in support of having that entry or exit on the hillside, not from the Ravalli Hill site, but somewhere along that area. So the safety concerns could be addressed. But I just wanted to add that. And if there are any questions about the letter or the notes that we provided, I'm happy to help answer those. Thank you.
Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, Sadie, this is Greg. So I think it's fairly clear that the hill is not in play from the elder standpoint. What I'm curious about is whether or not has been any discussion about the other two sites in terms of a preference.
I don't recall that they had a preference for the other two sites. But I'd be happy to repose that question here at our next meeting on April 1st. And I would love to see all of you there. So I can definitely pose that question. Tony or Whisper, if you recall, if that question was answered, please chime in, but I don't recall if they preferred either one of the other two sites.
Yeah, most of the discussion was based around opposition of having it at Ravalli Hill. But there was quite a few comments of why don't we just build it where it's currently at? And so I think there wasn't a necessarily a vote or consensus of saying we don't support this site, but we support this site. But based on the conversation and the that was happening, that's the path that we've seen. The gist of the conversation we gathered was they preferred the existing sites over the Ravalli Hill site for sure.
And additionally, the current site is outside of the bison habitat. We would have to remove some of the forage and bison habitat from their utilization if we were to move it to the red sleep area. Our preference would be the existing if we were to not choose Ravalli Hill.
Other questions? Thoughts? Are we ready to select a priority? Greg?
Do you have your mic on?
Sorry. Motion to select the existing site, option A. And as a part of that motion, I would like that selection to be run by both elders groups to get their reaction, feedback on that selection.
Motion by Greg to look at the existing site. Go ahead, Danielle.
Greg, would that include putting the roadway in for safety coming off 93?
Yes.
Did that?
Taken by Daniel to look at the existing site for development. Any other discussion? All in favor? 2, 3, 4, okay. Carol?
Yeah.
So we got 2, 4, 6. And James? At 7, 4, and I'm opposed. Carries. Jamie, go ahead.
Does that include though, like having more signage and a kiosk or anything at Ravalli?
Yeah, the Salish Culture Committee recommended if there is a kiosk there that they can expand on information, cultural information of that they can aid us in developing. And we can good timing. I think next week is SQCC and the week after is KCC. We can bring this conversation back to them with your guys's recommendation.
And one last thing, I think that road and that kiosk looks like it does at Glacier Park when you drive in, where somebody takes your money and gives you a map and says, welcome. Nothing more than that. I was assume the bathrooms stay the same. I don't know who's in charge of the bathrooms and the rest of that facility. So there are.
Maintenance. Facility and maintenance is right now currently. Yeah.
Got a question here?
Oh, no.
Anything else? Thank you, Whisper.
Thank you.
Look forward to some good designs.
Yeah.
I don't. Facilities maintenance, I think, but I'm not sure.
Off by the gate.
Morning, Ron.
Thank you, Whisper. It's a lot. It's a lot. So coming before council with a resolution to enter into a cooperative agreement with Bureau of Indian Affairs for non-reoccurring funding and fire suppression reimbursement. So our current cooperative agreement sunsets May 15th. And in order to maintain funding flowing into the tribes for fire reimbursement and non-recurring funds, we have to have an active cooperative agreement. And so I'm coming before council to have a council resolution and motion to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Glenn and Jamie.
Ron, is this the same pot of money that we pay our contractors with too? Or fire?
So kind of, because it's suppression, but so it all comes out of Reston. So this funding would not go to the contractor, though. It would just come to the tribe.
Okay.
Contractors get paid individually through their Viper contract.
Okay, so it doesn't even come out of our fire budget or nothing, so we're dealing with the Forest Service when we're paying our contractors?
I don't even know if it's Forest Service, but it's definitely the federal government in Reston. And go ahead.
Department of Interior. Yep.
Department of Interior?
Yep, Department of Interior. So their contracts, the way it's set up is we submit their invoices and their time and on their behalf. And so, but that's not what this cooperative agreement covers.
Gotcha.
This cooperative agreement covers our expenses for on reservation incidents. So buying supplies, logistics, stuff like that. We pay up front and then ask for reimbursement from the federal government as a big package. So in order for us to get that reimbursement, we have to have.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
understood. So where I was trying to go with this was, I know in the past we've had problems with contractors taking a long time for them to get paid after a
Absolutely.
project fire.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
then so, we've run into that situation again. If there's a pot of money here that we have with the tribe that we could just pay these people until, until their funding comes in for
Yeah,
the fire, but.
Understand where you're going with that. We haven't had that issue in a
Yeah.
few years, thank goodness, but yeah, knock on wood, but yeah, we've looked at that kind of option because it's been, the thing that was kind of concerning to me was it was transferring over calendar years. Like they earned it in 23, got paid in 24, and how it would play with their taxes, and then their employees were not able to buy their kids' school clothes and things. It was a big deal, but we haven't had that in a while. This is mainly so we'll charge overtime and hazard, or maybe our base time. We'll have other tribal programs help us out, and their wages will be charged to a fire. And we pay for that up front, as Tony's mentioned, and then request reimbursement. So that's what this is, a mechanism to receive those funds.
A motion by Glenn to move forward with the cooperating agreement. Resolution, second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous, so just fix. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
You know what's coming, don't you? So this has absolutely nothing to do with forestry. This has everything to do with the compact, and everybody up here knows what I'm going to say. I am tired of the BIA redefining our compact relationship with them, and by requiring a separate cooperative agreement for the purposes of flowing forestry dollars and ignoring the fact that we have a compact. If we don't push back as a tribe, the Bureau is going to continue to redefine, and in this particular case, diminish the scope and the significance of our self-governance compact. So I am always obliged to say that this needs to be a part of the compact, not a separate cooperative agreement, but I don't want to do anything to get in the way of the activity.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment. I think I'm learning more as I go through life on what the cooperative agreement really stands for and the things that it does provide the tribe. And just a couple of things that are kind of good is it covers us under Tort Claim Act under the cooperative agreement, and then it should provide workman's comp, federal workman's comp for injuries that occur under this cooperative agreement. So We operate our program under a contract, 638, and we fight fire under the cooperative agreement. And that pulls the expenses away from the tribe and all the liability away from the tribe. Now, it could probably go the same way for what you're discussing. I don't know that for sure, but the current cooperative agreement's the way we've been moving.
Yeah, the liability is with the federal government, even under the compact.
Okay.
The first paragraph of the resolution that you presented has a self-determination contract listed in it. Please change that to your cooperative agreement.
Yeah, that's why I sent it to Upton, Brian. But yeah, I appreciate that. Everything I've ever sent, I think Mike's had a couple of comments about corrections, so I appreciate it. Yeah, you don't pay me to write, that's for sure.
Anything else?
That's it. Appreciate it. Good
Job, brother.
So finish this up and bring it back? Yeah. Copy.
We'll grab Michelle real quick. I thought I saw her.
She's in the back. Can we go into executive?
We'll go out of regular into executive.
Mr. Chairman, members of council. I'm here seeking approval on a couple forms that need signatures on, and then also to ask to be considered for having authority to sign forms and documents regarding this project with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the nationwide permit process. Being advised from our contractors, it'll probably speed up the process. So, and if not me, then maybe Jordan or whoever will seek guidance on that, so.
Authority for,
So
I mean, I heard what you said, but
So we've gone through the 87 ALCO permitting with the tribes, and now we need to go through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for their nationwide permit. And then we can use the combination of those two because hopefully there's not going to be a project. So they're not going to require a PIM permit. So then we can use that when we go to the MDOT to get the final permitting process. So I've been driven around and showed around in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers website portal. I'm pretty much going to be taking guidance from our consultants. Oh, I'm not. Okay.
Got Daniel, then Lynn.
I guess, the department head, is she here with you, or has Renee seen this, or?
Renee has seen this, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, on any given week, there's always a council person in this building. And I don't want us to open the door to start having staff signing or approving documents that council needs to be approving, or council needs to be aware of. So I don't think I can support this at this time. I know it's just for permits and such, but I think it's information that the chairman or somebody there's always somebody here at any given time. And I don't see a situation ever arising where we need a signature right now. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I just couldn't support this right now.
Carol.
it's on broadband.
Yes, this is for the broadband project, the fiber project.
No, it almost feels like we haven't had a discussion with everybody in the room. I know we brought the contractors in and I was hoping Len would have been here at that time, but I was at a Mission Valley Power Board meeting yesterday. And I don't usually go to those, but this issue came up. And I kind of got the feeling that they were being being asked or directed to do some things that I don't know if anybody has that authority to do that unless it's brought here and council agrees. So I don't know, I'm not reluctant. Well, first of all, she asked where Renee is at. Where is Renee? She should be here with you as a department head. And secondly, I just have felt uneasy about this project for a long time, way before you got it, not, just because I don't know enough about it, but I know Greg talked about getting on board, getting on this issue and really kind of, kind of walking it through, I guess, is maybe your thought. And I like that idea. At least there's somebody up here when we have a question, somebody can answer it. Because right now, it's just so all over the place. I don't know really even who has control, except I think you do, right?
I'm pretty much driving the project, yes.
Yeah, and then the Yawakis,
They're
a contractor.
they're a contractor, so to our island, yes.
Okay, and that's who I understand from Mission Valley Power, that they were talking to Mission Valley Power. That should actually go through you as the person that's overseeing the project.
We have our standing weekly meeting with MVP, and
Okay,
Melda Madonna is on there, and Troy from MVP is on that call as well.
okay, this guy was part of engineering.
Okay, so that'd been Mel, probably.
No, it wasn't Mel. He said his name. I thought he was a Felsman. But
Yeah, Troy Felsman, yes.
oh, there's.
No,
young
Zach,
Troy-
sorry, Zach Felsman.
Okay,
Yeah.
Zach. Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah, there we go, we get there.
Hey, Greg.
So, just a couple things. One is, we've got a pretty good grant that is several years old, and it just seems like this thing is drifting, right? And maybe it's on a fast track to get around completion, but we don't know that. Second thing is, we do know that there are a number of other people that are involved. We've just had Blackfoot Telecommunications in here twice in the last month, dealing with their BEAD project funding. So we just thought it was time to take everybody that has a stake in this and pull everybody together at the same time. And take a look at where we're at and the path to move forward, so that we can start to get ahead of things and push things along, as opposed to let things kind of drift. So that's my way of saying that I live away out in the middle of nowhere and I have very, very poor coverage. So anything I can do to move things in that direction, I'm gonna try real hard. So. Anyway, so yeah, if, Mr. Chairman, if you could, work with Chuck to pull that meeting together, so we could get on with it.
What do you need today then, Chuck?
Okay, if we can just get rid of that signature authority. The other one is just get the chairman's approval on this letter to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is pretty much for the nationwide permit. Just by the methods and the engineering, if we're going through a water body crossing, we'll be outside of the ordinary high water mark boundaries. And I think it's requirement to go 5 feet under. I think we're doing 10 feet. So we're pretty much guaranteeing we're not going to be having any spills or spill outs. I forget the exact term on that. The other ones, if the by-berry plow and knifing, that guarantees that side cast spoils is not generated. And then anywhere else, we're going aerial. So we're attaching to existing poles anyway, so there will be no issues crossing those water features. So that's just a letter to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer. Just stating that. They could always come back and say that a section 404 permit is required based on what they have seen, but this is just a requirement of theirs. So I just asked permission for the chair to sign that one. And then the other one that, and I'll get these cleaned up and put into DocuSign or on a letterhead. But this one is for CenturyLink. Right up there on top of Jetty, their MVP poles are not usable. And so we were going to have to bore, and that's a lot of rock. So we have identified that CenturyLink Lumen has just comm poles along that stretch. So that will save a lot of money and time trying to go through rock. But this is just a agreement saying that they would allow us to attach as long as we swear that we're providing lit services. So we're hanging dark fiber, but we are going to light that fiber to pass traffic across. So that's what we're just saying here is we're not hanging just dark fiber and abandoning it. We're actually going to be using it to provide service. So that's all that is for that one. And so those would be the only two that I asked for signatures on.
Yeah, is there any limitation on the CenturyLink agreement in terms of how much fiber or for how long or any limitations at all in that?
I believe it's common for 25 years. We might ask for a little bit more on that, and then we still, this just gets the ball rolling. So then we can actually identify the poles that we want to attach to, do the make ready and analysis on them, make sure that we can actually use the poles. And then there's going to be attachment fee, so we'll have to negotiate that.
And that would go from what point to what point?
So you, Montana Marble meets just a little bit north of that, going up through the jetty, almost over to the Big Arm site. There's there's like a 3-mile stretch of rock in that area that we're trying to avoid.
Good. Third letter. Any other questions on these two letters, the CenturyLink one and the what is it going to the Army Corps of Engineers?
IT under Greg, right? Currently? Under Jordan? Okay. I think this is an issue that Jordan should have presented to us. He should have been here today, so.
But we need these two letters. That's for sure. Any objection to moving forward on these letters?
Mr. Chair.
The CenturyLink letter is the signatory authorization, isn't it?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
So the
Looking at the
very
wrong
first
thing.
letter page was the authority, which we're gonna not do. The second page following that second letter, that's the ALCO. That's from Frank Ospio saying that there is no project, doesn't need a permit for that, which we were going to include into this letter to the Army Corps of Engineers saying that we reviewed it. It's no permit on our side. Hopefully the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will find a no permit needed on their side. So those were just kind of tucked in there together. And then the CenturyLink one is just saying that we are going to be attaching fiber to their communication poles, and we are going to be providing lit services, which is going to be passing network traffic cost.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. On the signatory authority one, I think it should be the chair. And I think if there's things that come up, need immediate attention, you're able to, let us know if we need to take formal action on it or something, I mean, I don't really think we need to give up that signatory authority, but I think there's ways we can, you can work through you to prove those in a way that let us all know. And we thank you.
So you need, are we up and open? So you need action on the two letters.
I was wondering if a consensus was good enough for putting forward these two letters. So I was asking if there was any objection.
No objection.
Seeing no objection, we will sign the letters
Okay, I'll get them cleaned up and sent over and through DocuSign.
through DocuSign. That makes signatures fairly easy.
All right.
Could I ask where, see, and maybe this, what meeting are you asking like for all of this information to come in? Because I have like no clue where like we're laying the fiber or should Jordan be coming in to update us on this? Because me and Greg are new. And so I've heard a lot of this talk, but I just like have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, we can set up a meeting and get you guys up on board. And we do have a every other week meeting with legal and other parties, maybe have a representative there. Or we can create our own, however you guys want to do it.
Can you give a brief 30,000 foot level view right now of where we're at?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at some of the hard rock boring to reduce some costs. But overall, what we're planning to achieve is a fiber ring that goes out through Hot Springs, comes up through Elmo, back down through Pablo, Ronan, Mission, out through Grey Wolf, get down into the Missoula area where we can hit they're called like ISP hotels. So we pretty much buy bulk internet access. So we're looking for about 400 gigs of internet access to feed this fiber ring. So that's the backbone of it. Along this fiber route, there's going to be it's either going to be 14 or 15 50-foot towers. And those are going to have wireless devices on them to connect to wirelessly to the consumer, the end user. Those speeds are going to meet the requirements of the grant. Some anchor institutions like the hospitals, community centers, there's like 21 or 22 of those identified that we're going to be hitting as well to provide either secondary connections for them, any of that stuff. We're also getting fiber up to our existing 4 larger towers, the 180 footers. That's around the reservation. And we can use those in this deployment as well too, as long as standing another taller 150 footer out up by the Kicking Horse complex, compound, whatever we're calling it. And the goal of this project is to provide unserved or underserved tribal households. Well, that's the goal.
Do you have a footprint or coverage map? You don't have to give it to me right now, but at that next meeting, when we all get together and kind of see where we're at and stuff, that would be good to have that information then.
Yeah, we're mostly doing that through KMZ files, so you can just pull them up in Google Earth. So I can either just ship them off to you or you can look at them. So. We tried. Yes. No, up 35. We're pretty much just going out to the existing meet me point for our tower out there on Boulder to get that backhauled back into our infrastructure. So right now we're leasing the backhaul from Access Montana. So,
Thank you, Chuck.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Brian Upton.
We need executive, Brian?
No, sir. All of this is just wanting to make sure you're up to speed and approving of a letter to BPA to effectuate the exchange that you've proposed for the property by Jocko Hollow, Felsman property, to allow housing to be built there at our Lee in exchange for a conservation easement upriver at a property known as Jocko Pines. So this letter just kind of sets forth that proposal. They wanted something in writing to basically initiate the process. Lynn has been working with the staff for a while. So if you'd like, I can kind of summarize it. Or if not, you've approved us to move forward with this. I just wanted to make sure you were in the loop about how this is progressing forward and make sure you're okay with the chair signing this and going forward or seeing if there's any questions. I'm sorry, I don't have a map. I don't think I have one on my desktop. Correct. It's the part basically right across the road from the end of the existing housing subdivision north of our Lee before it slopes down. I think the answer to your question is yes. I'm trying to explain it the way I see it on the road. That's the property that housing will be built on, and the property that the tribes would put conservation protections on instead would be upstream. I don't know how many miles, but more easterly of our Lee. Correct. Well, I can't characterize where the Jocko Pines are in terms of the bench. I don't know that in my head, but it's quite a ways from the housing part where that big slope is and that bench part is. So sorry, Lynn could answer that question. We can either get her on the horn or I can come back.
Go ahead, Big.
Brian, you're talking about the property across the highway now? Is that from the housing area down to RD? I thought it was the property just north of the housing unit there. Thought they were gonna put that on.
That's my understanding
Yeah.
is what you just said. So the same side of the highway is the existing housing. That's my understanding of where the housing is going. That is the property we're talking about right now that's currently under protection.
Yeah, because we talked about the other side. We worried about the kids over on the other side, and that's why we decided not to put it there. We were talking about putting it up by the Powell grounds out in that field up there, but they came up with this other part. So, but north of the housing area down there, and that's where we decided.
Yep, that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably good enough is if we have consensus to move forward with the letter. Because we've talked about this housing possibility. Is there any objection to moving forward with this trade? Conservation easements?
And I'm sending the letter to all the council right now, because Brian just sent it to me.
If there's no objection, I think we move ahead with the letter.
Excuse me, we'll be back once it gets to the CE stage and it'll be ready for signature. So we'll keep you in the loop as it goes forward. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Brian. Cool.
Is enough, right? More work.
Are you offering something to him right now? Something else, Craig? That's our agenda.
Yeah, I have wrestling to go to. Who's gonna be here Thursday? Who will
Thursday?
be here Thursday?
You be here Thursday? We got. Carol, you be here Thursday? Yeah, we have at least our 7 and James,
Yeah, I'll be there Thursday.
so we got at least 8.